Hi Year 12s, in this video we're looking at simple hyperbolas. So this word here is hyperbola, or without the S on it would be hyperbola, and that's not to be confused with a hyperbole from English, which is an exaggeration for effect. So a hyperbola is another kind of graph, and it's in this form here where you've got x, y equals some sort of constant. So we'll start with this example where we're drawing x, y equals -2, and look, like with a lot of these things, first time around, you can just go into your calculator and have a wee look at what it looks like. Now the only problem is our calculator is y equals, and this is x, y equals. So we need to think about how we could make x, y equals -2 become y equals. So we'd simply divide both sides by by x, so we'd have -2 over x. So when we put it into our calculator, we'll have -2 divided by x. And so you can see that's giving us a little bit of an idea of what our graph looks like, sort of curvy on both sides, but we need to be a bit more specific with what points it's going through. So I'm going to go into a table like I've done with the other graphs, and we'll set it to go from, -4 to +4, and get some values. So at -4 we're starting at 0.5, which is a half, and then we're going to 0.6 recurring, then 1, and then at -1 we're up to 2, if we keep on going. So at 0 I've got this thing called error, and what that means is there's actually this sort of spot where there's no values, and I'll talk about that again in a minute. Then at 1 we start at -2 again, and at 2 we've got -1, yep, so that's there, and we've got those same points reflected around here. Now we've sort of got a little bit of a space up here where we haven't got many points, so I might just investigate that a little bit more. So what I'll do is I'll just go back to set, and I'll go from -1 to +1, and I'll just go up in points of 0.1 just to get a bit of an idea of what's happening in there. So we can see here that at 0.8 we're getting to about 2.5, so about there. Keep on going down. So -0.5 we should be at 4, so that's there. Alright, keep on going. And you can see it's getting quite big there, and then when we get to 0 we've got that error again. And then at positive 0.1 it's 20, 10, and then at 0.4 we've got -5. So 0.4, -5, that's about there. And then -4, and we've got at 0.8 about -2.5, so that's about there. Alright, we've got enough points now that we can sort of sketch in this graph. So when we're sketching in, we just need to be very careful that we're showing it as a curve, and we're also going past the last points to sort of show that it's going on infinitely in either direction. Now you can see here that around the y-axis, it's approaching the y-axis but never actually touching. And so that means we have a thing called an asymptote. So this dotted blue line that is a little bit hard to see, maybe I'll make it a little bit thicker. So this dotted line down here, that's what we call an asymptote. So asymptote, there we go. So an asymptote is a sort of a line that a graph never touches and cannot be equal to, but defines something that it's getting towards, but yeah, never actually touching. Now there is one other asymptote, and that's going along this way here. Okay, so that is another asymptote. And when we're talking about asymptotes, we like to talk about the equation for those. So one asymptote is that x equals 0, and the other asymptote for this graph is y equals 0. Okay, so those are the two significant things about this sort of hyperbola. Okay, I think we'll finish that video there, and in the next video we'll look at another example.